Hey guys, I am gonna tell you a little bit about the Elimination Diet food plan that I've been doing. A lot of you have questions about it and we're really interested in it, so I'll tell you a little about it. But first, a little background into why I'm doing it and how I kind of came to this point in my journey. This past January, I had been feeling very achy. My hands would seize up on me. My body was not right. Like things were just not right, when you know. So I went to my doctor, my primary care, and ran some blood work. And a test that came back positive was my ANA test. It's your nuclear antibodies test. It can be a sign of lupus. It can be a sign of autoimmune diseases. It can be a sign of a lot of things. And my primary care physician definitely took the aggressive method of diagnosing it as lupus and putting me on medication right away. I didn't feel like that was the right diagnosis. I didn't fit a lot of the criteria of lupus, so it led me to a rheumatologist because a lot of my symptoms were in my hands and my joints. We ran some more tests. Again, talked a lot about it, agreed that lupus wasn't the right diagnosis, and then went with a rheumatoid arthritis diagnosis. We revisited that, decided that's not right because my numbers for my rheumatoid test were not strong enough to support that. My numbers were not strong enough to support lupus. So we kind of came to the conclusion that it was an inflammation disease, and I would see a functional medicine doctor to really dive into it. So a functional medicine doctor is one that is going to look at your body as a whole, is going to look at your life as a whole, and find a way to solve a problem. It's not necessarily putting a Band-Aid on a problem. It is finding the root of that problem and solving it. So in my appointment with my functional medicine doctor, we spent a lot of time talking. I actually talked to her for an hour of that appointment, and it was more than I had spoken with all of my doctors combined, like within the last year. It was amazing. But she and I came to the conclusion that it sounded a lot like leaky gut syndrome, which is basically your walls of your intestines have leaks or lesions in them and are allowing bacteria and toxins out into your body and into your bloodstream, which would be why my original test showed raised anti-nuclear antibody numbers, because those poisons, those toxins are out in my bloodstream and are affecting my body. So the first thing we had to do is heal the leaky gut. Sorry, my mouth totally just went dry, sorry. All right, so we had to figure out how to heal it. So I highly recommend doing this with a doctor, because not only am I doing the elimination diet, but I've got like all the supplements to take too. I'm taking L-glutamine to help rebuild my gut. I am taking digestive enzymes to help, probiotics, all kinds of supplements to go along with this diet to help my body adjust and heal. But the elimination diet, let's get to the meat of it all. No processed foods, no sugars, and limiting the inflammatory foods. So it's not technically the autoimmune protocol diet, which is the AIP diet. It's more of a first step. So she gave me, which is awesome, a whole printout of foods that I can and cannot eat. So when it comes to proteins, I cannot eat beef, canned meats, cold cuts, eggs, hot dogs, pork, shellfish, whey, or soy. All right, so that limits your protein options to some. I can still eat fish. I can eat meat, the wild game. Right now it's deer season, so it's great if you know a hunter that can get you some venison, because venison is a great lean meat and also one that you can eat on the elimination diet. You can eat chicken, turkey, Cornish hen. You can also do protein powder, but it has to just be hemp, pea, or rice protein. And that's it, like no additives into it. So that's like the main proteins. And it also breaks it down to other proteins that you can eat that are also considered carbs, like legumes. The only legumes you can't eat are soybean products. So you can have green peas, hummus, refried beans, black beans, chickpeas. All of those are okay. Dairy is a no-go because dairy is also a very inflammatory food. So no butter, no cheese, no cottage cheese, no cream, no ice cream, milk. Also no non-dairy creamers, just because a lot of them are processed and contain a lot of chemicals in them. Not so good. So the things you can have are basically your nut milks. You can have coconut yogurt to throw that in there as well. So it can act as a protein and a carb depending on the ratio. Nuts and seeds are a really good protein and fat source. So you don't have to just get your protein from meat. You can get protein from lots of other places, especially if you're a vegetarian or vegan. Like, you know, protein is not just meat. But the only nuts that you really can't have are peanuts. So no peanuts, no peanut butter, no peanut products. When it comes to fats and oils, you cannot have butter, no corn oil, cottonseed oil, margarines or spreads, mayonnaise, peanut oil, shortening or soybean oil. You see a lot of the soybeans come up, a lot of corn comes up a lot in this that you can't have. Vegetables, you're pretty much allowed any and all, except for corn. And if you're avoiding nightshades, there are a lot of them, like tomatoes, you can't have eggplants, potatoes, peppers, those are all nightshades. So that's a different category, and some people react poorly to eating nightshades. Some people react poorly to foods with a lot of histamine in them, and that's as you go through your elimination diet with the doctor and you talk about the foods and how they're affecting you, you can come to that conclusion. Fruits, the only ones you can't eat are citrus fruits. My doctor has me doing the low FODMAP for fruits as well, so my options are a little more limited. It's had to be something that crossed both lists, but that's okay. When it comes to gluten-free grains, it has to be gluten-free. Gluten really affects our bodies, especially if you're doing the elimination diet. It's because gluten has really affected your body. You can still have grains though. You can have buckwheat, you can have amaranth, you can have millet, quinoa, you can have rice. So the things you want to avoid are barley, corn, farro, rye, spelt, and wheat. Wheat is a huge one, big one. Other than that, you can't have coffee because it's too acidic. Your body needs to heal. But you can have some green tea, which is nice because it does have some caffeine in it. And if you're like me and a total caffeine addict, you definitely need that. You can have water, sparkling water, unsweetened coconut water. You can do all herbs and spices. And mustard and vinegars you can do. It's just suggested to use them sparingly. So I'm following this for 3 weeks because it takes 3 weeks for your system to reset. You know, the old saying of it takes 21 days to establish a habit. There's a reason for that. Those 3 weeks, those 21 days really allow your body to adjust to them and clear out, detox, if you will. So I go back in a few weeks to reevaluate what's going on and figure out what our steps are from there. So if you have a functional medicine doctor in your area, Google it, talk to friends. Highly, highly, highly recommend going, picking their brain and seeing if this is a right thing for you. We are the advocates for our own health, and it really helps to know your body and to know what is affecting it and how it is affecting it so you can make better choices in your healthcare. But let me know if you have any other questions. I'm happy to answer them. I will share more about this journey on the way. So far it's been pretty good. It's not too different from what I was typically eating. The hardest part for me is being on the go and not having something prepared. So this is definitely a food plan that meal prep is going to be your best friend when it comes to it, because when you get hangry and you can't just grab a granola bar, you can't grab a protein bar, you can't whip up a protein shake real quick, you have to be really smart about the choices of what you're eating. And it takes a little bit of an adjustment, but it'll be good. So let me know.